Hello, this is George Sandmann. I'm the founder and CEO of Growth Drive. And Growth Drive is a system used by business advisors to drive client profits, growth, and value. Now, we're also a community. Every week we get together to talk about all things business advisor, everything clients, cases, things we're seeing out in the world. Now, tune in here to this podcast, and you can join the conversation by scanning this QR code, passcode 867-5309. Jump into the conversation. Everyone's welcome. We're looking forward to having you. So here we go. On with the show.
Tim, did you ever get your presentation loaded up to Growth Drive someplace?
I did. I sent it to Catherine, and she posted it, and it's in there somewhere. I haven't gone in to look for it, but I teed that up for the group, and Joe asked me to send him a copy directly. Any of you want it, just let me know, and I'll be happy to send it to you too. I actually used it, and it worked well.
I like this song, Bob.
So what's the name of it? What is the presentation about? I missed it.
It's just a deck. It's a deck about Growth Drive, and it's there to was something that I created, sort of breaking in, so that when I start telling people what I'm doing or how I'm doing it, I'm not just waving my arms and explaining it. It's 10 slides. Actually, it wound up being 14 slides, but you could easily take 3 or 4 of them out. Some of them are just there, I think, as a transition.
You just got.
So I wanted to make it as quick as possible. And then there's a bottom half of the, like, there's about another dozen slides in there that are reference slides. If somebody was interested, for example, in one aspect of Growth Drive or another, you could quickly flip to that slide. That
You just got to keep Tim's branding. That's all.
Well, so Tim, it is terrific, and Catherine posted it in Circle.
Okay.
So guys, Tim, I'm going to spare you.
Right.
Anybody watching this, it's in Circle. It's easy to find. Search it. Just use the search bar, and I'll make the one thing I will do is I'll make sure that it's referenced. But Catherine just posted it. Middle of last week, Tim?
Yeah, you're free to use it, fold it, spindle, mutilate, whatever, rebrand it. It's community content as far as I'm concerned.
George, do you have a clue what to search for? Because I couldn't find it.
Huh. Okay. Well, talk amongst yourselves. I will figure that out right now.
I'm in Circle now trying to find it, so it'll be great.
I think that should be somebody's next book, like finding something in Circle, because it's never easy, at least not for me. I've got 2 or 3 of these that I'm in, and it's in Circle.
Yeah, it's nice when you're in multiple circle groups with different email addresses. Really nice.
And I might be wrong. I thought I was positive. I'll ping Catherine.
Just hit the easy button, George.
Yeah, exactly. George,
There's so much in here, guys. That's beginning to be the problem.
we have to welcome Manhattan to the chat.
George,
Manhattan is in the chat.
did you get the message after one of the, I haven't been on for a week or 2 here, but at the end of one of our conversations that you weren't in, somebody brought up the suggestion, Eric brought up the suggestion of having a session where you literally walk us through where to find stuff in Circle.
Yeah, we should do that, guys. In fact, you know what we're going to do?
Inviting.
Okay, guys, I'm fixing that on the fly. We have our wonderful and capable Catherine on the job. I am going to add another session. So we have some grumbling from the West Coast, deserved, because it's 6:30 in the morning out there, that this is not accessible to them because, it's 6:30 in the morning. Cool. So I'm going to add a session. It's going to be a great hour. It's different than this, and it's going to be called Ask Me Anything. And so that is the perfect place to do, like, hey, George, show us where things are. Catherine, behind the scenes, as you figured out, is busy doing it, not a reorg, but a realignment. Where are things? How do we find them? How do we tag them? We have a mea culpa on Tim's presentation. Give it a moment. It'll be there. So, sorry, Tim. Thank you, Tim. All right. So we'll do Ask Me Anything, and I'm thinking about doing it at 3:00 on Tuesday afternoons. That makes it noon on the West Coast and before the end of the business day here, and still kind of palatable for our few UK users. Australia, you're on your own. I love you guys. Time zones are impossible. So And one other announcement, I found out yesterday that I get to have more oral surgery. That is happening when we were going to do the C3D workshops. Guys, it's not gone, but I got feedback from our board of advisors and the faculty, and we're gonna reformat it. I apologize. Given my travel schedule, I need to be in town for a block of time after the surgery. Trust me, I wish this wasn't the case. TMI, stay tuned. By the way, those C3D workshops are for people who have completed the course, the video portion, and or are already certified. Or not and or. You don't have to be certified to come to the workshop. It's review. Okay.
So catch me up, George, because I went through your initial training. Is that the same as this, or is this?
That is a great question. Thank you, man. It is not the same. We cover similar topics. I took the original, what we used to call the launch course,
Right.
and we turbocharged it. So we went from approximately 12 hours to about 20, on top of which we are adding hours of workshop. Michael, we ended the in-person certification, and we're placing that into the facilitation course, which we are going to expand by at least a half day, because doing a 1 day on facilitation, we need a day and a half. So recapping, if you've done the launch course and you've done the in-person certification, that is still valid. We've added to it with C3D. I'd be happy to have a one-on-one as to what that looks like. We've augmented it. We've brought a lot more voices into the course, and it's getting Tim, you've finished. I should let Tim, Mike, you're in the process of going through. Steve, you've finished it. Should let you guys comment on this. But, and I will in just a moment, it is not certification in using our software. Would you guys agree with that statement?
100%.
It is certification in the methodology and process. And it starts with a growth conversation. Where does your life going? And how does your business support you? Which is kind of an exit planning triggering event conversation, and goes all the way through long-term execution. Nail me to the cross now.
It has an amazing module on client acquisition.
Taught by. Okay, so there's my diatribe.
Shameless plug there, right?
Yeah, shameless plug. So, Mike, let's talk about it offline. I know there are a couple of other people who would like to have that conversation. I'm happy to talk about it. Hey, Bob Goldsmith, dude, 2 days in a row. Great to see you.
Hey, treat him nice. He's my car today. I invited him, so be nice.
Bob, this.
Mike waited 4 hours from when he woke up to call me and say, I got to be on this call, which I appreciate. So he called me at 8.
Yeah, that's hysterical, because you're not wrong, Bob. Said the man who talks to Mike most mornings of his life.
It's always like this. What do you have to cancel?
Bob and I were just in North Carolina together live with a room full of CEOs invited by Bob Parent and Kathy Crawford. Did a CEO workshop, which was super fun. I'm preparing your business for transition.
Any deal flow out of that?
I had some conversations, not like short term, but in particular high quality business that would be figuring out their stuff. But yes. So awesome. There was awesome.
And Mike and Bob is the most recent. A lot of people are starting to register for the conference. Thank you. We're going to have such a great time, guys. And Bob happens to be the most recent, adding his name to the list yesterday. Thank you, Bob. I'm really looking forward to seeing you, man.
And
I'm super excited.
Thank you.
He needs more time.
I'm sorry?
If Bob does another presentation, he needs more time.
So last year's panel, we are still talking about, right? Bob, this comes up regularly.
I'm still mad.
Bob, and you're still, you're not mad, you're pissed. Bob and Carl J. Cox and Ed Wonke did a panel presentation. Yes, we have a couple of panels slated. And what we're going to do, which I hope makes you happy, Mr. Garrison, sir, is we're going to do, the panels will be, a period of panel discussion and then a robust Q&A period, followed by a connected workshop. So So it's going to be the structure of this year's conference. We're taking everything. People were raving. Who liked last year's summit? I did. Yeah. Mike's like, I didn't come. There was a magic in the room. We're taking the things that people like the most and expanding them. And then I'm doing some things that are a little different from what you would expect at a conference. So, there's going to be very little clicking through slides in the dark. Okay.
And some people are going to make money.
Yeah.
Leave it to Garrison. Garrison's like, dag nabbit. Okay. So
What I
Mike,
just
I'll shut up now. Mike's back to you.
George, I'll just and I'll have to meet the new people on the call. But what I really liked about your conference is number one, and I don't think I'm blowing smoke. It's like a great quality group. Like there are people on this call. I met so many good people. And the other thing for me at your conference is that I go to these conferences not expecting to learn anything, which I mean in a very humble way. I like met great people that were teaching me stuff, and I was learning a lot. So I thought it was awesome. I mean, I do go to like everybody to conferences, and I am like I go in with, for the networking, I'm not going to get a lot out of it, right? Like that's my expectation. I was, including people on this call, I've met really great people, and I was learning stuff. So I really enjoyed it.
I love that. Thank you. And by the way, Bob, we can say this publicly. Congratulations, my man.
That's right.
Mr. Goldsmith, would you please, I'll put you on the spot. Would you please share why I'd be congratulating you?
There could be so many. No, start by saying I'm going to be humble, and then is it because of the platform?
Yes.
Yeah, no. And I can't say it quite yet because we didn't just sign the whole thing, but we were put on one of the big, really large financial institutions platform, one of 10 companies to.
Is it one of the ones we discussed?
Fishing.
Not the one with with the 3-letter acronym.
Is it 2-letter?
No, Mike, stop. Bob, ignore him. And
we do it with Goldman Sachs. We have an advisory agreement with.
To comment on the quality of what you guys do, ACG just recognized you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm not going
to. No, the other one is probably more interesting.
I just texted you.
Yeah. No. So ACG does, there are different awards, and some awards are slightly marketing-ish. The ACG does one award in each category. And we won the award for the best manufacturing deal of the year for a company that's based in Houston and Gujarat, India, that does low and medium volt transformers. That they were like big law firms. Guggenheim Partners was across the table from us. And I can say that there's a learning curve for everybody, like even government approvals in 2 different very different jurisdictions, simultaneous sign and close, which is not common for a public company, to say the least. We sold it to Standex Corporation, and it was a $462 million deal, which was wonderful for us. And so we got recognition. If you can send out the link, but if you see the law firms and banks that are on that, we were in. It's like exactly the company you want to be in.
Company. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome, man. Which helps.
Can you see the 400? Can you see the 462 hat? The baseball cap. Yeah, our Texas office sent that to me, which I thought was awesome. It's like a very subtle thing that you can wear around where you're like so happy. $462 million. So was the transaction size. So yeah, that was.
It's the kind of exit we all aspire to. Thank you, Bob. But very cool. I'm really happy for you and for Northern. You guys set a high bar. I sound like I'm going infomercial, but and I'm thrilled to have you to count you as a friend. So congratulations. Yeah. And the platform, I can't wait for the public announcement.
Yeah.
You guys, and it's deserved. That stuff is earned. It goes to the topic we were talking about last night, right? With trying to raise kids. Doing what we do.
Check your text.
Yeah, I feel like with Goldman Sachs stuff, I feel like it's like I'm like a little bird on the side of the picnic table, the little crumbs that fall off the side, and they're, and I haven't eaten it. It's just so. But this other one, it's going to work very, very well for them because they've got thousands of wealth managers, and if 150 or 200 of them are really in the hustle game with business owners and getting things going, then that creates lots of opportunities. They've already put us in front of like really interesting companies. So we're really excited.
It's funny, Bob. This goes directly to two conversations I had this morning. One was with Mike. And because of Mike, I walked to work, so I have an extra 15 minutes to talk to him. And with someone who's considering joining the community, Charles, last name omitted. If you're watching this later, I'm talking about you. But what's the difference between Growth Tribe and other options out there? And look at this conversation. This goes directly to, we have a methodology, we have a process, we have, it's technology-enabled advisory system, and all of that is very cool, right? And that's powerful, and standing on its own is already great. But this room, right, and what we do every week and all the time, Tim sharing, Mike with everything you do and contribute and great questions, and Steve and Joe and Susan, I'm going to see you at the summit, right? And Bob, Mike, this community behind the scenes, who here has collaborated with someone else in the community that they never would have met but for the community?
I mean, making money?
Yes. Making money, Mike. Yeah, everybody. Exactly.
Collaboration for me involves currency exchange.
By the way, do you see the books there? I was totally brown nosing you guys, but I need to get, and I'm looking up people online, like Steve's got a book, but Tim,
It's the glare.
I gotta get, what's that?
It's the glare. You need to put that one to the right on top of the one to the left.
Is your book there? But the two of the central books, two of the books in the C3D certification box.
No, like the collaboration's huge. I just had my first joint Growth Drive win with another Growth Driver. So very exciting.
Yeah. And Mike and Bob, you guys it doesn't matter. Thank you. This is the nutshell. Thank you, guys. It's great stuff, and allows me to go to someone and say, hey, the level of, when we talk about sophisticated support, I'm not talking about my being sophisticated. I'm talking about the sum of knowledge, not just on this call, but in the nearly 200 people who are in the community and growing. Bonfire, Tim. Bonfire. Tim's book is called Changing Lanes for Business, and the premise of the book is that most businesses can see an exponential improvement with incremental changes. Is that pretty good, Tim?
Yeah. Pretty good. I should have asked you about that before I wrote the book.
It's a great book,
right?
Thank you. What else is on people's minds?
Hey, George, as you know, I don't pay attention that well.
It's Steve, an engineer. Believe me, it's not missing a thing.
I was going to say.
The agenda for the conference published?
It is not yet published. We are working on it right now. So this year, for the first time, it is not just George picking up the phone and calling people and asking them for their input and criticisms from previous events. We actually have an advisory committee, and we are crunching on it. I anticipate having something sort of publishable towards the end of, it'll go out next week while I'm out in Vegas at Engage.
It's exciting. It's exciting, though.
It is exciting. We're expanding the things that you guys loved last year. So even though we're growing, that we anticipate having between 70 and 100 participants in this year's summit. We value, one of our guiding principles, right, is we value close personal engagement. So how do we honor that guiding principle when there are 100 people in the room? And we are working on that, and we will accomplish it because, for instance, physically, we have two spaces, right? We have one huge ballroom, and then we have another very large breakout room. Imagine anyone who's been to our certification, Mike Desiato, Tim, you were down here. You got the specialist. Steve, you came down. Yeah. So it's going to have a lot of that feel. We're going to workshop the whole event. Well, of course, we need anchors on topics. So we are going to go through a journey that plays out our theme this year, which is building a profitable advisory business. And the committee came up with a little thicker and more comprehensive description of what that is. But, building a thriving advisory business based on delivering client wins. We talk about that all the time. You'll see that play out. And so imagine having a panel discussing, preparing Bob's here, preparing a business for an M&A transaction, right? M&A, very high bar. Okay, we're going to have that panel. We'll have a discussion about that. And we'll have open mic about that. And then we'll expand that and imagine having table exercises where we come back as a plenary and discuss what we discussed, what we shared, what we learned. And if that sounds, anyone who's been in those workshops, and Andy Weevil, who's not on this call, will be in the room. And he does this for hundreds of people. So we have a lot of talent, facilitation talent in the room. It's going to be fan-stinking-tastic. Guys, 100 people, if we assume that all of us have 30 years experience, and many of us have burned through that mark, right? That's 3,000 years of experience. I don't care if you've been running a business or advising, you're bringing, that's 3,000 years of experience. And I think that events, it seems to me that events that ignore the power of that combined experience miss an opportunity, and we're not going to miss the opportunity. Okay, I'm on fire this morning. This is one coffee with 10 hours of sleep.
George, did you go out to your CPA conference?
I did.
Being a CPA, did you get entirely bored to death, or what were your takeaways?
Just the opposite. Key takeaway number one, we need to be much more active in the Accounting Today Firm Growth Forum. Mike, it was so Accounting Today, and Dan Hood, man, hats off. He already got they did a great job. They in the room were the fastest growing accounting firms. If you look at the Accounting Today list, you had the 25 fastest growing firms. You had some of the guys who are kind of becoming stars in the space. Paul, the head of CLA, Richard, the head of Aprio, Tim, the head of Springline. You had some and more guys. Anybody I'm not mentioning, it's because there are too many names. They were all in the space, 350 people. But interestingly, there were also a lot of private equity in the room and a lot of the technology companies supporting these fast growing firms. And what's happening with private equity, all the assumptions we make about what private equity does, yes, they buy a firm that looks really good and then they glue on other firms. Sure, they do that. But they're doing some other really cool stuff. One firm shared how their PE backers, listen to this business model. They buy a firm, and every person who presented talked about two things. They talked about organic growth, and they had the stat down to the 0.1%. And they talked about acquisition growth, and they differentiate the two and are being held to both standards, right? So they're not just acquiring and saying, look at us, oh, great day. They have to improve how they're doing what they're doing. They have to increase their strategic capacity. So in this one group, the private equity group isn't buying to sell them upstream. They have another fund. And so as the firms grow, they sell them upstream to another fund, upstream to another fund. That's cool, right? At one firm, private equity, he was up there, Sean, with Smith and Howard, great guy. Sean talked about the fact that they had they have an intent, they have a strategy, and they went out and they got approached by private equity, and they said, we'll talk to you as long as you want to do this. And so private equity came in like a traditional investor and is funding Smith and Howard's growth, or helping to fund Smith and Howard's growth as their capital partner in a much more traditional investor sense, right? Fast and on and on and on. Models.
George, sorry, just because I didn't know, I need to jump to another call.
Right.
But I want to say I'm kicking myself because I could talk on this topic and listen to your for hours.
Would you please come back next week and we'll start here?
Yeah. Okay. I apologize to everybody. I literally didn't know the time, and Mike said to get on, and I was in my state of confusion. Those 30 years have taken a toll. So,
well, man, it's great to see you. Have a good day. I hope you call me.
I'm literally very specifically interested in this topic and been tracking it. So anyway, great to see everybody.
Bob, podcast. I'll call you. All right. Okay. Awesome.
Thanks.
Have a great day. Hey, Silvana. So Mike, you asked a simple question. It was fascinating. It was not boring. And it ended with a giant tequila-infused karaoke party, which was hysterical. So, and I was there with the great Christine Hollenden, who is also going to be at our conference, at our summit. You know, summit's different than a conference, right?
But George, do you see any, are the CPA firms embracing this, sorry, I'm losing my voice here. Are they embracing this advisory work that we do in Growth Drive? And how are they doing it?
Yes. And John Moore at PKF O'Connor's Card happens to be here. What a great guy. He and his friend.
Yeah, I know this. I know this.
So, yes. So what did we hear from the firms when they were on stage? We heard, I'll talk in Growth Drive terms. We heard an enunciated, defined strategic intent. We heard that private equity is not going to be very patient with the partnership mentality. With all respect, I'm an attorney. I understand whatever. They're not going to be. So they're pushing equity sharing down deeper into the ranks of the firm. They're taking more of a corporate perspective. They are also putting the products and service or the services that need to be run by an accountant-led firm in one legal entity and creating an alternative practice structure specifically for advisory. And CAS, which was kind of this what let's just say was the initial foray into providing advisory for accountants. CAS is now just one of many.
What does CAS stand for?
Client Advisory Services. I read it, I interpret it as bookkeeping and fractional controller, really. So it's not really advisory the way any of us do it.
Right.
They're doing, but what they're adding is, John, I don't, I'm not going to put words in his mouth or represent what he's doing. I had one dinner with the man, but they appear to be doing the type of advisory, and that's why there's interest in the Growth Drive community. The type of advisory that we refer to. We're not going to talk at your accounting firm. We are going to advise you not just on profitability, which is a more traditional accounting role, but we are going to advise you on growing profits. On Richard Kopelman in his presentation said the one thing that's driven Aprio's growth, and I'm pointing like he did at his presentation, was growing enterprise value. They have grown Aprio by focusing on growing enterprise value. Isn't that our whole argument? Right? And so these firms are starting to say, hey, if we help our clients grow value, they may not understand why that's so bloody good at the beginning, but by the time we educate them, does this sound growth driving? They will understand that if a firm to be valuable, that has to predictably and sustainably grow free cash flow. And if we can help our clients predictably and sustainably grow free cash flow, then we are going to be their heroes. And so, Mike, that's a very long-winded, heck yes, they're getting into advisory. And that is such a fantastic opportunity for us to collaborate with accounting firms, right?
Yeah.
Imagine all of the things that you can do with a traditional CPA firm that's trying to make the transition, a firm that's made the transition but might be struggling, which they will. We all struggle in the first year, right? So, Mike, yes, they are.
Yeah,
it's going to be fascinating to see it play out.
Hey, George, it's Larry. I'm sitting in the back.
Hey, Larry, how are you, man?
Good. I'm in transition, going to a conference, so I'm kind of in the background today. I'm with a mid-level accounting firm, and a lot of these accounting firms, they'll talk like they want to be growth advisors and take a different course, but they don't have the right set of leaders willing to take that risk to make that change and know how to. So I have an accounting firm that is here in Jersey and throughout New York area. I think 67 partners. They're doing it, and they're working with me. It's slow. It's like turning a big ship slowly, but we're getting there with peer group, maybe with advisory practice. There's 2 assigned partners at a high level on the executive committee, including the chief marketing officer, to this. And we're moving this step by step. We're going to try to get some small wins to prove the point, including building a peer group. And so by doing that, you have to convince many people who are risk adverse in that firm, including high up, that there's value in doing it. So I hear that the market's going that way. That's a great thing, but it does take strong leadership in these organizations and the know-how. And I think the know-how is where we could come in and help the right partners know how to do this.
Larry, that's a fabulous point, and I thoroughly agree. That's exactly what I was referring to. Hey, Mike and Larry, we're talking about a massive cultural change for a firm, right? Could you guys comment on Mike, 40 plus years with a top flight accounting firm, Larry working with one now? Would you guys care to comment on the cultural change that needs to take place. When I say it's going to take a year and it's going to be a little painful, am I on the right track with that comment?
A year? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, Mike.
When you say Mike, you're talking this Mike.
I'm talking to you, Bob.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. I was in public accounting for over 40 years, so I know I know the mentality. But most of the baby boomer, top folks are retiring now. So that's the good news, right? So their mindsets are kind of going out the window, and they're traditionally adverse to change. Whatever, if it works well, why mess it up? They love the recurring revenue model that they were used to for years, right? With all the recurring work and they basically focused on getting more of it because it was recurring revenue. But yeah, sorry, it's a huge cultural change. But the younger partners, the younger folks are coming up, and I think they're going to embrace this stuff. And then private equity, as you point out, right? The last firm I was with did a deal with private equity just because they knew that they had to make huge investments in order to stay relevant going forward. So, and they didn't have the money because in these firms, the partners suck out all the earnings every year. They don't leave a lot in. If they're going to get taxed on the money, just give it to us, right? We don't want to put it back in. And then and most of these firms, the older ones have the large unfunded deferred comp plans for their retired shareholders, and they don't have the cash for that. And so private equity comes riding in like the knight on a white horse and says, hey, we'll give you a lot of money so you can rid yourself of these unfunded liabilities. We give you more cash, and you see a lot of that, right? The other thing I've seen too, there's a couple of CPA firms that have gone ESOP.
Yes.
Right. So BDO is an ESOP. Grassi and Company is an ESOP. Right. So they're going that way. They're going that route too. And again, that's making all the participants in the firm owners. So they're trying to tap into the owner mentality of folks to try to get them to think and act like owners. But I've been working with a firm down here, and to Larry's point, it's a slow turn of the boat. I got a couple of new projects from them because what has helped me get work from them is that some of them have gotten their CPA designations, right? So once they go through that program, they kind of understand, hey, there's a great opportunity out there. We have a lot of clients that need this. And fortunately for me, unfortunately for them, that the CPA program really doesn't train them to do the work. It trains them to understand the issue. And
that's its focus.
Yeah, and that's good. They're doing a great job. They're raising the awareness of everyone as to what has to be done, but they don't teach them what to do, and they don't teach them a methodology. They kind of leave that up to you. You can partner with various partners that they have, I think, to me, I need to, and hopefully I'll learn more about it when I go to the summit, but I think focusing on CPA firms is a good way of building your practice because, being one for years, I know that these firms are they have such a deep relationship with their clients for years. And they have a lot of these clients that look to them for compliance work and audit work and stuff like that. But they're a great way of getting introduced to the business owners that we want to talk to because they have the relationships already. Yeah. And it's a matter of getting them to trust. And this is the issue with all advisors who have clients. Are they going to trust you with their client relationship? Because a lot of them are fearful that, if I bring someone in and that person messes up, then it's egg on my face and I'm going to get blamed for it. And I may lose a client. So I'm not risking this relationship. So forget it. I'm not doing it. So, but we have to make them understand that if you don't do it, someone else will do it. Right. And someone else is going to beat you to the punch. So why not go along and try to be there and be the person that does it, because this stuff is coming up and you're going to get beat if you don't do it.
That's right.
It's a good point. The getting beat. It's a competitive opportunity. 2 points off of what you said, Mike. One is the gentleman who's taking the lead at this firm I'm talking about. He's only about 43 years old.
I agree with that.
So his mindset is completely different. His view of the market and where the company has to go is different. The other is that it's hard, it's conceptual, and people intellectually could buy into something and understand the need, but they can't move it. And Tim, Rhoda, you could talk about change management from this view. They can't move it to actual action unless they touch it. And Tim you attended one of my business forums that I run for their clients on their premises. And so one of the ways of doing this is to run workshops where their clients, business owners, come into the workshop and get to taste and feel and touch and see each other and say, wow, I've learned something today. I've interacted with other business owners. You get the rest of it. But actually running some workshops with their clients might be a great way of introducing the concept and getting buy-in, not just from their clients, from members of the firm.
And the other thing too, Larry, and with this firm I'm working with down here, when they're bringing me in to do this, the growth drive work and to do the value growth advisory work, I've gotten them more work for them for their traditional lines. So for instance, I'm working with a client that wants to go to market in 3 or 5 years. And I asked them, what kind of financial statements do you have prepared? And they said, well, we don't have we just do tax returns. And I said, well, you ought to start getting either a review or audited financial statements. You ought to start that going. We're going to go out to market. Having a reviewed and audited financial statement is going to be important, right? So right away, I got that accounting firm to review financial statement work just by going through this process. So there's by going through the growth drive process, there's work that can be generated for the accounting firm's traditional service lines, financial statement preparation, outsource CFO work, because maybe they don't have a good internal CFO that needs to, like we talk about in growth drive, right? Do you use daily flash reports? Are you using KPIs? No, they're not. Well, your CPA firm can help you put that together, right? So that's work for them as well. And then we talk about having your legal and your compliance house in order, right? That I uncover stuff, having been a tax person for years, I find stuff that is wrong that needs to be fixed. Like, have you looked at your exposure to state income taxation? Because you're doing business in all these states, you're not filing returns. You better clean that up. So anyway, I'm just saying that, yes, I mean, they can also get other work, even though they're not doing what I'm doing for them, for their clients, they can get ancillary work in their normal and their other business lines. And bottom line too is that they just build more client goodwill and they build the client's going to be more attached to them, and it's going to be a retention device as well.
Well, absolutely. And Mike, man, those are fabulous points. Because it's the game of expanding your reach and relevance with your clients, right? Expanding your relevance. And this goes directly to what Mike Garrison, if you want to create a client who's evangelizing for you, if you want to make your firm irresistible.
Right. But the problem that they have, and I see this all the time because I was in it, is that 6 months out of the year, they're just up to here with work, and they don't doing compliance work, that they don't have time, and they don't spend time because they're tired to talk to their clients about stuff other than the work that they're doing, the compliance stuff. They don't spend the time because it's finish one job and on to the next, finish one to the next. So they don't spend the time sitting and talking to their clients because they're involved in all this compliance stuff. And I'm not talking about the bigger firms like the ones that you saw. They have different. I'm talking about the large locals, the smaller accounting firms.
And some of these firms were 20, 30 million of AGR. I mean, they're not that big. They're just growing like stink. Mike, a point that you just made, and I and Silvana, I know you're waiting patiently. Thank you and good morning. Hey, Mike, Clarity Level 1 takes about 10 minutes to complete. You can literally email it to a client. Much better to sit face to face and go through it. But imagine what the firm will know. I don't care if you're a wealth advisor or here we're talking about accounting firms. Imagine what you will know about your client by just investing 10 little minutes. It can be it's a game changer for everyone on this call when we have that conversation. So I'll leave my point. Silvana, good morning, 10 minutes.
Good morning. I actually wanted to follow up on the very interesting conversation we had about the accounting firms. And I totally agree that there is a huge opportunity there for us to collaborate with them. In my personal experience in the last few years, and granted, I'm in a market where it's very difficult in the greater Washington, D.C. area. But I find working with accounting firms even harder than with the wealth managers, partially because the accounting firms feel like they have a lot more knowledge of the internal happenings of a company, and they tend to be very protective of that. Not that the wealth manager or the wealth advisor does not. However, wealth advisor goes into the company via the business owner or the CEO most of the time, while the accounting firm goes directly because they're doing something for them. So the question I would like to pose to everybody, and maybe Mike can pitch in here, is what are some important hooks, strategies, ways for us to get to that point where we can have those joint works? Because I do agree with Larry. The workshops will be phenomenal when we get there. But until we get there, I found out that I have collaborated with accounting firm CEOs and business owners, and they still are very reluctant to open up to outsiders like us to collaborate with their clients.
It's about trust. It goes down to that, they have to have trust in you, and they have to have confidence in what you're doing.
I disagree. I think that's table stakes. I think that's why most people suck at doing it, right? Because they're doing pedantic shit that they should have already done.
I'm going to put you down as undecided.
Yes, tell us how you really feel.
Mike, explain that. Mike, explain that.
Yeah, please.
This is what I do all the time. And I was talking with a big time investment banker the other day, right? Fundamentally, if you want to have relationships with these investment advisors, don't be a freaking predator. Come to them with a way that you're going to increase their business, and don't tell them it's going to be 3 years after you've started working with them. Come there with net new business opportunities now, because that's the secret. Like, if you're going to come in there, like, and I'm a growth driver, I'm on the board, like I drank the Kool-Aid and then I sold it, right? But the deal is these financial advisors, CPAs, I have zero problems getting work from them. Zero. And the reason is I make them money right away. I'm not coming in there saying, hey, after you take all the risk and introduce me to your client that's going to make me a lot of money, after that, I will get you something later. You need to start day one, and you need to have a system for it, and nobody teaches it except yours truly. Like I wrote about in the book, but that's what I'm saying is like, if you're going to come at these people, come at them being accountable for producing, or don't bother.
Right, Mike, that's what I was saying. With the client that I was just talking about that was referred to by a CPA firm, I got them a lot of work right off the bat.
That's exactly
right. I got them a review financial statement engagement. I got them more tax work. I got them CFO work. Yeah. So yeah, if you approach them with, this is what's in it for you, this is how you get immediate by what I'm doing, you're going to get this other work right away, because I'm going to recommend that they do that.
Well, and the other thing is like, bring them business beforehand. Like, you've got that relationship locally, but like most people, when they try and prospect referrals, they're just taking, they're just looking. And if they're talking about giving, they're doing it in some really lame ass, like, networking term. Like, instead of trying to prospect 50 investment advisory firms, pick the one that you like the best and find them introductions. Well, how do you find them introductions? You spend time interviewing them about exactly who they want, exactly how they do it, and you'll probably find opportunities, because most of them don't know, and now you're really providing value. I'm not passionate.
No, but you're right. You're 100% correct.
No, that was great, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Minimal swearing. Minimal.
I didn't notice anything. There will be no beeps. And I had a podcast where we literally felt like I had to put a warning at the beginning of the podcast.
PG, what? MA, mature audience?
Yeah, mature audience. Like, we are going to swear, and if that offends you, then stop.
Language
It's
I'm
like,
not-
it's like,
Well, you know, there's
like be welcomed back. How do you get welcomed back to a second meeting? How do you get them to take a call? How do you get a CPA firm? Like, Mike, to your perspective, Mike, we've got like a dominant regional multi-state firm here headquartered in Roanoke. It's Brown Edwards and Company. And it's like a 3 or 4 state deal. They are super, super careful and cautious about any recommendations, right? I don't get referrals from them. Number one, I get them secondary because I've got friends that do get referrals and send it to me, but because my CPA firm is specialist, they're CPAs, and there's like, I'm not going to go to Brown Edwards and lie to them that I'm going to really help them, because if I get business, it's going to be going to my guy. You know what I mean? You got to know what you're doing.
Yes. No, I think that is very honorable, and that's not a good thing. So totally agree with you. If you have 2 or 3 people that you work on a regular basis, it's very difficult to go and talk to somebody about what you can give to them when you know already that they're going to be number 4, 5, 6.
But then my opportunity is I get to work with CPA firms around the country. And so instead of working with a big conglomerate, I'm picking those small to mid-size, right? I would look at everybody in this call. Like, raise your hand if you've got a financial advisor. Are they referring you? Okay. So the real homework is, why not? Right? Hopefully it's not because they're like family and they know you. They actually know you, right?
No, I never, you know what? I've never asked them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you got to let them know. Like, by the way, who refers their financial advisor?
I refer my financial.
I have.
Yeah. And so it's like, you're not right or wrong. I mean, it's not a moral thing, but the question would be, for those of you, do you want more referrals from your financial advisor? Do they work with business owners? Why aren't they referring you? And it has nothing to do with trust, liking, or believing in you. It's all about fear. It's all about the fact that they don't understand a systematic way that benefits everyone.
Yes.
And
I own up. I asked, but I haven't had the chance to follow through to sit them down and walk them through the growth drive so they truly understand what we're talking about. And I think when we talk to them and explain it to them, they're like, this sounds good, but I'm not really sure it's sinking in. So I need to do that, and I cannot blame them for not.
Well, so Silvana, what you're really getting at is, and Mike Garrison, or Mike Dosiano, or anyone on the call, what do you think your wealth advisor would think if you walked them through? And by the way, you're paying them money, so they'll take the meeting, right? If you walk them through clarity level 1, 10 minutes, equity value planner, and protect value, but those combined, probably 20 minutes of conversation.
That would be the second or third conversation we had.
What would be the first?
The first conversation would be, how are they looking to grow? What's important to them? I start with giving. I only transition to getting after I see an indication from them that they want to give back to me, right? So my giving process is designed to give me data about their personality, data about their engagement, because my referral process is very intricate. There's a lot of communication that everyone has to agree upon, no matter what role you have, right? And so I'm looking to see if they're a safe driver before I'm ever talking about harvesting.
100%, and 100%, Mike. Where you're starting, would you be down if I'm wrong? But you're starting with establishing with the conversation about. I mean, it's a growth conversation, right? Strategic intent. Where is your firm? What do you value? How can I help you grow your firm?
They experience clarity when they want me to do it on them. I'm not going to demo software as a relationship.
Well, I'm not suggesting you demo software. I'm suggesting you use software to say, here, this is the type of information that I surface. Is this the kind of information that would be, if I meet people?
Yeah, but when you do it on them, that's how I do it. Because for example, you have a $17 million disparity between the amount of disability insurance that the financial advisor has.
Right, we just went through this, right?
Then at that point, I'm not doing some pitch deck, right? At that point, that's a real freaking thing. I go, by the way, would you like it if I did that, if I uncovered that for you with all your current clients? Or have you completely sold everything you can possibly sell to all your clients? They're like, no. I said, look, so you said, I mean, George, it's subtly is,
Oh, Mike, my feelings are hurt because if you think I was recommending that Silvana you
No,
do pitch
no,
deck,
I'm not
I
thinking,
got to go back and figure it.
but I'm just making sure because timing about how you present this, bless you, Tim. Timing is everything, right? I don't take people to clarity until they've decided they want to grow.
Love that. And that would be a great place to say, guys, we have 3 minutes left. Can we do a quick key takeaways? Joe has been uncharacteristically.
I love listening to Mike. I love Mike talking about his experience in the firm.
Absolutely.
Spectacular.
With Cherry Decker, which by the way, last year was one of the 25 fastest growing firms in the country.
Cherry Becker, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they used to be in Roanoke. I don't know if they still are.
I think they were in, they used to be, not Roanoke. It's,
They were in Roanoke.
no, their headquarters is in, what's the name of the other city? I'm
Richmond.
drawing. Yeah, Richmond. That's their headquarters.
The other R city in Virginia. Okay. Hey, key takeaways. Who'd like to go first? Mike's gone. All right.
I think Joe, he's got some, I see.
So,
Joe has a card.
once again, we talk about net new, right? And so really, this is their existing line of tax work, whatever that might be. What are they trying to get into and how are they going to get to? What are their strategies associated with that? And how can we help them grow their business? So jumping the shark, getting that next wave. How are they doing that? And how can we be part of that net new customer base?
Yeah. Great one, Joe. Who do you want to pass it to?
Okay, Savalia.
My biggest takeaway, the little tidbit that Mike shared about his very structured approach, how he talks to the COIs, and very specific questions and answers that gate reviews in a way, or decisions that make them go from one level to another in his book to be able to make a decision if they'll be able to be a good COI.
Yeah. And strategic COIs, right? We give to get. Awesome. Silvana, who are you going to pass it to?
Tim.
Thanks, Silvana. I agree. I think macro level, realizing the CPA world as the new world, like a new continent to explore. On a micro level, the tips that Mike and Mike gave about how to specifically capture their interest and get an opportunity to take the conversation to the next level. And before I toss it to Mike, a quick question, George, am I to understand that the conference, or not, that the workshop that you had scheduled is being rescheduled? Because I have it all blocked on my calendar right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That email's going to go out. I found out yesterday at 4:00 in the afternoon that I'm going back in for more fun and excitement.
Okay, so just strike it for right now and new
Strike it
dates
for
to
right
come.
now, yeah.
All right,
Sorry.
thanks. All right, Mike.
If I could hand it off to someone else to do, I would, and you do not want me, I won't be in any shape having surgery there.
I'm trying to get access to the, I've gotten some emails from Catherine about how to get your slide deck. I don't know how to access it, but that's just me. Anyway, that's another question. I'll figure it out at some point.
Or throw your email in the chat and I can shoot it to you.
All right, cool. All right. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm, you know, I still am a CPA. So, I think that CPA landscape is fertile ground for us to expand our practices and build our practices with. And, you know, as Mike Garrison said, I think you got to give to get. I think you got to be able to demonstrate to them what's in it for them. Just like everything else, like what's in it for me, that BYFM radio station everyone tiles into, right? What's in it for me? So if you approach them with, you know, this is your immediate, what's in it for you, I think it'll be more receptive instead of just saying it will get, you know, stuff like that. But I'll pass it on to Steve.
Thanks, Mike.
Well, the words have already been used, but so simply put, givers get.
Givers get, yeah. Yeah, and the concepts we're talking about and the interests we're talking about promoting are as applicable to an accounting firm as they are to a wealth advisory firm, to business attorneys, to a variety of other people. And if we show up with commission breath, we'll go. You'll get the results you would expect. Hey, listen, it's at the top of the feed. So if you log into the If you log into to Circle, it's at the very top of the feed right now. And please comment on it with the words that you would use to search for it. That'll make it more searchable. So it's there, and it's in Business Advisors in the space Growth Driver Tools and Templates. I may move that because Growth Driver Tools and Templates is closed. I'm going to push it out into the public. I'll move it into a public space. I'm going to move it into Business Advisor Tools. Cool.
Good.
All right.
All right,
Hey guys, another great conversation. This is, and we'll see how Ask Me Anything compares to this as we roll it out. We'll start 2 weeks from today. Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Anything you need, please let us know. We're here. We're happy to help. Okay. Thanks guys. Have a great week.
This episode is brought to you by the Growth Drive Summit. Our theme this year is building a profitable advisory business. Join us in Charleston, South Carolina, October 6th, 7th, and 8th. Expand your network, learn new skills, and generally have a good time. This is a top-rated event. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you.